Rollo's heart stopped as the door flew open, his father's face twisting from confusion to rage in an instant. There he was, tangled in Ethan's arms on the bed, their lips still brushing from the kiss that had felt like freedom just seconds before. The shout that followed echoed through the house like a gunshot, pulling Rollo into a nightmare he couldn't wake from. In the quiet suburb of Oakwood, Illinois, where manicured lawns hid the cracks in every family's foundation, Rollo Thompson had always played the role of the perfect son. At 22, he was finishing his business degree at the local community college, working part-time at his dad's hardware store, and dating Sarah from church youth group, or at least that's what everyone believed. But Ethan Ramirez, his best friend since high school, had become something more in the stolen moments after closing hours or late-night study sessions. Ethan, with his easy smile and unapologetic confidence, had been out since senior year, facing the whispers and stares with a shrug. Rollo envied that freedom, but fear kept him locked in the closet, especially under the roof of his conservative parents, where Bible verses adorned the walls and dinner conversations often veered into politics that labeled people like him as sinners. The confrontation that night unfolded like a storm. "What the hell is this?" his father, Mark, bellowed, his face red as he yanked Rollo up by the collar. Ethan scrambled back, grabbing his shirt, his eyes wide with shock and hurt. Rollo's mother, Linda, appeared in the doorway moments later, her hand flying to her mouth. "Rollo? Ethan? Oh God, no." The words hung heavy, and Rollo felt the world tilt. He could have stood his ground, could have explained that this wasn't a phase or a mistake, but the terror of losing everything, his home, his family, his future, choked him silent. Instead, he stammered, "Dad, it's not what it looks like." "Ethan." He forced it. "I didn't want this." The lie slipped out like poison, and Ethan's face crumpled. "Rollo, what are you saying?" But Mark was already advancing on Ethan, fists clenched. "Get out of my house, you pervert, and stay away from my son." Ethan fled, the door slamming behind him, leaving Rollo alone with his parents' fury. Linda sobbed, clutching her rosary, while Mark paced, muttering about how he'd always suspected something off about that Ramirez kid. Rollo sat on the edge of the bed, his body numb, the taste of betrayal bitter on his tongue. He'd thrown Ethan under the bus to save himself, but the guilt gnawed at him immediately. How could he face Ethan again? How could he live with this? The next morning, the house was a war zone of silence. Mark barely spoke to Rollo, slamming cabinets and avoiding eye contact. Linda tried to bridge the gap with forced normalcy, making breakfast and suggesting they pray together. "We can fix this, honey. It's just confusion. We'll talk to Pastor Reynolds." Rollo nodded mechanically, but inside, turmoil raged. He texted Ethan a dozen times. "Sorry, please talk to me, it was panic." But no response. By afternoon, rumors had spread through their tight-knit community. Oakwood was small, whispers traveled fast. At the hardware store, customers gave Rollo sidelong glances, and his coworker, Jake, pulled him aside. "Heard about last night, man. Tough break. Your dad's pissed, huh?" Rollo's decision to lie had bought him time, but at what cost? Ethan wasn't just a fling. He was the one person who made Rollo feel seen, alive. Their relationship had started innocently enough. Late-night talks about dreams, shared laughs over bad movies. Then one evening, after a particularly grueling shift, Ethan's hand lingered on Rollo's shoulder, and the spark ignited. Kisses in the shadows, promises whispered in the dark. But now, that fragility was exposed, and Rollo's cowardice had shattered it. As days passed, the pressure mounted. Mark insisted on family counseling with the pastor, where Rollo sat through lectures on temptation and righteousness. "God has a plan for you, son. This isn't it." Rollo parroted agreements, but each word felt like a nail in his own coffin. He avoided Ethan's neighborhood, skipped mutual friends' gatherings. Yet the ache grew. One night, unable to sleep, he drove to Ethan's apartment, parking outside like a stalker. Through the window, he saw Ethan laughing with someone else. A guy from their old soccer team. Jealousy twisted in his gut, mingled with regret. Had he lost Ethan for good? The internal conflict tore at Rollo. Part of him yearned to come clean, to embrace who he was. But the fear of rejection, of being disowned, was paralyzing. His parents had built their lives around community approval. Mark's business thrived on local trust. Linda's social circle revolved around church events. Coming out could unravel it all. And what about his own future? Scholarships, job prospects in a town where being gay meant being an outcast. The moral dilemma weighed heavy. Was protecting his family worth betraying his love? Ethan, meanwhile, grappled with his own pain. Betrayed by the one he trusted most, he threw himself into work at the coffee shop, ignoring calls from friends. The accusation of forcing himself on Rollo stung deepest. Ethan had always been careful, respectful of Rollo's boundaries. Now he questioned everything. Should he fight for them or let go? The societal pressure on him was different. He'd faced slurs and isolation before, but this personal wound cut deeper. By the end of the week, Rollo made a choice that would escalate the drama. He confronted his father alone in the garage. "Dad, about Ethan." "Elite." "It was mutual. I love him." Mark's face hardened, and he turned away. "If that's true, then you're no son of mine." The words landed like a blow, but Rollo felt a spark of liberation. Yet the fallout was immediate. Mark cut off his tuition support, and Linda pleaded with him to recant. Rollo moved out that night, crashing on a friend's couch, his world in pieces. The tension built as Rollo sought reconciliation with Ethan. Knocking on his door, heart pounding, he whispered, "I was scared, but I'm here now." Ethan opened the door, eyes guarded. "Scared? You destroyed me, Rollo." Their argument spilled into the night, voices rising with accusations and tears. Ethan revealed he'd been harassed at work, rumors painting him as a predator. Rollo's apology felt hollow against the damage done. As the first part of their saga closed, Rollo realized the price of his initial lie. Trust broken, lives appended. But the path to redemption was fraught, with more conflicts looming. Family ultimatums, community backlash, and his own self-doubt. Would he endure or crumble under the weight? The days following Rollo's confession blurred into a haze of uncertainty. Living on his friend Mike's couch in a cramped apartment downtown, Rollo juggled shifts at a new job flipping burgers, his dreams of a business degree fading. The separation from his family felt like a constant ache, amplified by the silent treatment from his parents. No calls, no texts, just a void where home used to be. Ethan, after their heated doorstep exchange, agreed to meet at a neutral spot, the old park where they'd shared their first tentative kiss under the stars. Sitting on a bench, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot, Ethan laid it out. "You can't just say sorry and expect everything to snap back. What you did, it made me question if any of it was real." Rollo nodded, tears stinging his eyes. "It was real, more than anything. But my family's grip on me, it's like chains. Dad's always preached about manhood, about providing for a wife and kids. Coming out means admitting I've failed him." Ethan softened slightly, reaching out but pulling back. "And what about me? I've been out, taking the hits so you wouldn't have to. But you threw me to the wolves." Their conversation delved deep into the societal pressures bearing down on them. In Oakwood, where church steeples dotted the skyline and conservative values reigned, being gay wasn't just personal. It was political. Ethan shared stories of lost opportunities. A promotion denied because of cultural fit, friends drifting away. Rollo confessed his fears of similar rejection, but also the moral quandary. Was hiding his truth honoring his parents, or just cowardice? The talk ended with a fragile truce. Coffee dates, no promises, but the underlying tension simmered. Back at Mike's, Rollo faced another layer of conflict. Mike, straight and supportive, warned him, "Dude, your dad's been asking around about you. Says you're confused. Needs to straighten you out." The pun wasn't lost, but the implication chilled Rollo. Mark's influence in town was vast. He could make life hard. Sure enough, when Rollo applied for a better job at a local firm, the interview went south. "We value family-oriented employees," the manager said, eyes knowing. Paranoia set in. Was his father sabotaging him? Linda broke the silence first, calling late one night. Rollo, please come home. We can work through this. Therapy, prayer, whatever it takes. Her voice cracked, revealing her own turmoil. Linda had always been the peacemaker, but her faith clashed with her love for her son. Mom, I can't pretend anymore. Ethan makes me happy. A long pause. But what about God's plan? What about us? The call ended in tears, leaving Rollo wrestling with guilt. Was pursuing his happiness selfish, abandoning his family to their pain? Ethan's world wasn't unscathed. At the coffee shop, a regular customer, Mark's buddy from the lodge, confronted him. Heard you corrupted Thompson's kid. Stay away, or there'll be trouble. Ethan stood tall, but inside, fear flickered. He'd immigrated from Mexico as a teen, building a life here despite obstacles. Now this threatened it all. He confided in his sister, Maria, over dinner. Rollo is worth it, but the drama. It's exhausting. Maria hugged him. Love shouldn't cost this much, bro. But if it's real, fight. The plot thickened when Rollo received an ultimatum from Mark via email. Return home, denounce the lifestyle, and all would be forgiven. Tuition paid, job secured. Refuse, and he'd be cut off permanently, including from his younger brother, Tim, who idolized him. The moral choice loomed. Sacrifice his identity for family stability, or forge ahead alone? Rollo agonized, pacing the apartment. Ethan, sensing his wavering, pushed. If you go back, what does that say about us? About you? In a moment of desperation, Rollo met his father at a diner. The air was thick with unspoken words. Mark slid a brochure across the table. Conversion therapy camp. This will help, son. It's not too late. Rollo's stomach turned. Dad, this isn't a choice. It's who I am. Mark's eyes welled. Then you're choosing him over us. The meeting ended in stalemate, but Rollo felt a shift, defiance replacing fear. Yet betrayal lurked. Unbeknownst to Rollo, Ethan, hurt and impulsive, confided in a mutual friend, who twisted the story and spread it online. A local Facebook group exploded with comments. Thompson boys gone astray. Ramirez's trouble. Rollo saw the post at work, his face burning. Confronting Ethan, accusations flew. You told? After everything. Ethan defended. I needed to vent. You lied first. The argument escalated, ending with Ethan storming off. Trust, already fragile, cracked further. As weeks turned to months, the societal backlash intensified. Rollo lost friends, endured stares at the grocery store. His internal struggle peaked during a solo hike, where he screamed into the void, questioning his decisions. The price was steep. Isolation, financial strain, emotional exhaustion. But glimmers of awakening emerged. Support from unexpected allies, like a professor who shared his own coming-out story. Ethan, too, reflected. In a quiet moment at home, he wrote a letter to Rollo, unsent. The pain you caused made me stronger, but I miss us. The drama built toward a crossroads, with more confrontations ahead. Family dinners turned interventions. Community events became battlegrounds. Rollo's choice to persist, despite the cost, set the stage for deeper wounds and potential healing. The tension ratcheted up when Tim, Rollo's brother, showed up at Mike's door. Bro, Dad's falling apart. Mom cries all the time. Come home. The plea tugged at Rollo's heartstrings, highlighting the ripple effects. His decisions weren't just his, they affected everyone. The moral ambiguity deepened. Right for self, wrong for family? Winter descended on Oakwood like a shroud, mirroring the chill in Rollo's relationships. Months after the initial explosion, he and Ethan navigated a tentative reconciliation, meeting in secret spots to avoid prying eyes. Their talks grew deeper, unpacking the layers of hurt. I betrayed you to save face, Rollo admitted one evening in Ethan's car, parked by the frozen lake. But it cost me my soul. Ethan squeezed his hand. And me? I lashed out, made it worse. We're both flawed. But flaws invited more conflict. Mark, unwilling to let go, orchestrated an intervention at the family home, inviting Pastor Reynolds and close relatives. Rollo arrived warily, hoping for dialogue. Instead, it was an ambush. "We've prayed for you," Linda said, eyes pleading. Aunt Karen chimed in. "This phase will pass if you let God in." The pressure to conform was suffocating. When Rollo defended his love for Ethan, Mark exploded. "That boy's poison. He's dragging you to hell." Rollo stormed out, but not before hearing Tim whisper, "I miss you, Rollo." The event triggered a cascade of decisions. Rollo applied for scholarships independently, determined to finish his degree. Ethan encouraged him, but their relationship strained under external forces. At a community event, a church fundraiser, they ran into each other publicly for the first time. Whispers followed. "Look, the Thompson kid and that Ramirez guy." A confrontation ensued when Mark approached, pulling Rollo aside. "End this nonsense, or I'll make sure everyone knows the truth." The threat hung heavy. Exposure could ruin Ethan's job, Rollo's prospects. Internally, Rollo battled ethics. Was staying with Ethan worth the familial destruction? He journaled late nights, weighing pros and cons. Pro. Authenticity, love. Con. Pain inflicted on parents, potential loss of inheritance, societal ostracism. The drama peaked when Linda fell ill, stress-induced migraines, the doctor said. Blame fell on Rollo. "Your choices are killing her," Mark accused over the phone. Guilt consumed him, leading to a momentary lapse. He ghosted Ethan for a week, contemplating surrender. Ethan, sensing the pullback, confronted the issue head-on. Driving to Mike's, he demanded answers. "Are you giving up on us?" Tears flowed as Rollo confessed his doubts. "I love you, but the cost. Mom's sick because of me." Ethan countered, "No, because of intolerance. Don't let them win." The argument turned passionate, not in anger but resolve. They decided to fight together, attending a local LGBTQ support group. There, stories of similar struggles bolstered them. Parents disowning, then reconciling. Careers derailed, then rebuilt. Yet betrayal struck again. Tim, pressured by Mark, leaked Ethan's address to a group of homophobic locals. One night, eggs pelted Ethan's window, slurs spray-painted on his door. Ethan called Rollo in panic. "This is too much." Rushing over, Rollo saw the damage, rage boiling. "My own family?" He confronted Mark the next day, fists clenched. "You did this." Mark denied, but his eyes betrayed him. "I just want my son back." The revelation shattered Rollo. His father's love twisted into sabotage. The moral quandary intensified. Forgive or cut ties. Rollo chose the latter, blocking numbers, focusing on self-preservation. But isolation bred doubt. Ethan, scarred by the vandalism, questioned their future. Is love worth this hate? They took a break, space to heal. During this, Rollo volunteered at the support group, awakening to broader issues. Systemic discrimination, the fight for equality. He spoke at a meeting, voice shaking. "My silence hurt everyone. Now I'm loud." Reunion came unexpectedly. At a protest against a local anti-LGBTQ bill, Rollo spotted Ethan in the crowd. Their eyes met, and words poured out amid chants. "I can't do this without you." Ethan nodded. "Then don't." But joy was short-lived. News hit. Mark's business suffered boycotts from progressive customers, blaming Rollo's public display. Linda called, desperate. "Your father's heart is breaking. Please talk." The climax built as Rollo arranged a family meeting, Ethan by his side. Tension soared. Mark refused to acknowledge Ethan, focusing on Rollo. "Choose us or him." Rollo's response was firm. "I choose me, and that includes him." Linda wept, but a crack appeared. She hugged Rollo goodbye, whispering, "I love you, no matter what." The departure felt final, but seeds of change planted. Societal ripples continued. Friends divided. Some supported, others shunned. Rollo's job search hit walls, but a lead in Chicago offered hope. Relocation, fresh start. Ethan considered joining, but family ties anchored him. The decision loomed. Stay and fight, or flee? Internal conflicts raged, loyalty versus survival. As spring approached, awakenings emerged. Tim secretly messaged Rollo, "I'm proud of you. Dad's wrong." The message sparked hope, but also fear for Tim's safety. The story's tension crescendoed, with more damages ahead, emotional scars, lost connections, but also potential for growth. The price of authenticity was high, but was it worth it? Spring brought tentative renewal to Oakwood, but for Rollo and Ethan, it was a season of reckoning. With the family rift widening, Rollo pursued the Chicago job, landing an entry-level position at a marketing firm known for inclusivity. The move meant leaving behind the town that shaped and scarred him. Ethan, torn, decided to follow after wrapping up loose ends. "We'll build our own life," he said, packing boxes in his vandalized apartment. But doubts lingered. Was running away cowardice or self-care? The departure ignited final confrontations. Mark showed up unannounced at Mike's, where Rollo was gathering his things. "You're throwing away your heritage for what? A fling?" Rollo stood tall. "It's not a fling, Dad. It's love. And your hate is what's toxic." Mark's face softened for a flicker, revealing his own internal struggle. A man raised in rigidity, now facing obsolescence. "I don't understand it, son." Rollo replied, "You don't have to. Just accept." The exchange ended without resolution, but Mark left without threats. A small victory. Linda's farewell was heart-wrenching. Meeting at a cafe, she handed Rollo a photo album of family memories. "I prayed for guidance. God says love thy neighbor. But what about thy son?" Tears flowed as she admitted her fears. Losing community standing, eternal damnation. Rollo hugged her. "Mom, love isn't sin." She nodded, conflicted, promising to work on Mark. The moment highlighted the moral gray areas, faith versus family, tradition versus progress. Societal pressures peaked during their goodbye gathering with friends. At a bar, toasts turned tense when Jake, Rollo's old coworker, drunkenly accused, "You're abandoning us for the city life?" Typical. Ethan defended, "We're escaping hate." A scuffle nearly erupted, underscoring the divides. Later, alone, Rollo questioned his choices. Had he pushed too hard, alienating allies? The damage was evident. Fractured friendships, strained bonds. In Chicago, the new chapter brought fresh challenges. The bustling city offered anonymity, but adjustment was rough. Rollo's job demanded long hours, leaving little time for Ethan, who struggled finding work. Resentment brewed. "You dragged me here, and now you're always gone." Ethan snapped one night in their tiny studio. Rollo countered, "I did this for us to escape the poison." The argument unearthed deeper wounds. Ethan's abandonment issues from his immigrant past, Rollo's guilt over family fallout. A turning point came via a surprise visit from Tim. Sneaking away, the teen arrived wide-eyed at their door. "I told Dad I'm gay too." Shock rippled. Tim confessed eavesdropping on arguments, realizing his own feelings. "Seeing you fight gave me courage." Rollo embraced him, but fear surged. Mark's reaction could be explosive. They strategized. Tim would stay closeted until college, Rollo offering remote support. The revelation awakened Rollo to his influence, the ripple of his decisions inspiring change, but also endangering his brother. Back in Oakwood, the consequences unfolded. Mark's business dipped further, forcing layoffs. Linda confided in letters. "Your father drinks more, blames himself." The guilt tugged at Rollo, prompting a moral dilemma. Reach out or protect his peace. He chose a letter, pouring out his journey. "Dad, I forgive you. Hope you can forgive yourself." No reply came, deepening the wound. Ethan's awakening mirrored Rollo's. Landing a job at a nonprofit for LGBTQ youth, he found purpose. "Helping kids like us. It heals me." Their relationship strengthened through therapy, addressing betrayals. Sessions revealed patterns. Rollo's people-pleasing from parental pressure, Ethan's impulsivity from survival instincts. The work was grueling, but rewarding. Trust rebuilt, Intimacy deepened without physical details. Yet, drama resurfaced when news broke. A local scandal involving Pastor Reynolds, exposed for hypocrisy. The church community fractured, with some reaching out to Rollo for apologies. "We were wrong," one email read. The vindication was bittersweet, validation at the cost of others' pain. Rollo debated returning for a visit, weighing risks. The high-stakes choice came during Pride Month. Invited to speak at Oakwood's first small Pride event, organized by allies, Rollo hesitated. It could reopen wounds. Ethan urged, or close them. They went, facing a mixed crowd. Mark appeared unexpectedly, standing at the back. Rollo's speech poured out. "Love isn't a choice, but acceptance is. I paid dearly, but I'd do it again." Applause mixed with boos, but Mark approached afterward, voice gruff. "I'm trying, son." No hug, but a nod. Progress. The encounter sparked family therapy suggestions. Linda pushed. Mark resisted but attended one session. Tensions flared. Accusations of abandonment, defenses of self-preservation. Breakthroughs emerged. Mark admitting fears of failure as a father, Rollo expressing resentment. The process was slow, painful, but hinted at reconciliation. As summer waned, Rollo reflected on the journey's toll. Lost innocence, scarred hearts, but gained authenticity. Ethan and he committed deeper, rings exchanged in a private vow. The story's arc neared closure, with awakenings solidifying. But questions lingered. Had the sacrifices been justified? With reconciliation budding, Rollo and Ethan returned to Chicago, carrying fragile hope. The family therapy continued virtually, chipping away at walls. Mark's gruff admissions evolved. "I was scared of what I didn't know." Linda bridged gaps, sharing articles on LGBTQ acceptance. Tim thrived secretly, texting Rollo for advice. The progress was incremental, but the price remained evident: years of lost time, emotional exhaustion. Societal shifts in Oakwood mirrored personal ones. The Pride event sparked dialogue. Boycotts reversed as awareness grew. Rollo's old friends reached out, apologies flowing. Jake admitted, "I was ignorant. Sorry, man." The awakening spread, but not without backlash. Conservative holdouts protested, labeling it moral decay. Ethan, empowered by his work, advocated online, facing trolls but gaining allies. Internally, Rollo confronted lingering doubts. In quiet moments, he pondered the moral calculus. His coming out triggered pain but also growth. Was he the catalyst for change, or the destroyer? Therapy helped unpack. "You can't control reactions, only your truth." Ethan echoed, "We paid the price, but look at us now, stronger." A final confrontation loomed when Mark visited Chicago. Over dinner, tensions simmered. "I see you're happy," Mark conceded, eyeing Ethan warily. "But it hurts, son." Rollo replied, "Pain goes both ways, Dad." The talk delved deep, Mark revealing his own suppressed emotions from a strict upbringing. "Maybe I was wrong. No full acceptance, but a truce. Holidays together, no judgments." The visit unearthed buried secrets. Mark confessed a long-ago friendship with a gay colleague, ended by societal pressure. "I regret it." The revelation humanized him, shifting Rollo's view from villain to victim of the same system. Forgiveness flowed, but boundaries stayed firm. As their story wove toward resolution, damages tallied. Shattered illusions, rebuilt lives. Ethan proposed formally in the park where it began, a simple band symbolizing endurance. Through hell and back, Rollo accepted, tears of joy mingling with sorrow for what was lost. Community integration followed. Back in Oakwood for Tim's graduation, they faced stares but also support. Linda hosted a awkward but warm dinner, Mark toasting vaguely to family. The awakening complete, Rollo realized the journey's essence. Choices define us, consequences shape us. Yet loose ends tied with twists. A former friend betrayed confidences, sparking a minor scandal, but unity prevailed. The couple volunteered together, paying forward their lessons. In the end, as they built a home, Rollo pondered the saga's core. Love triumphed, but at great cost. The narrative closed on reflection, leaving a lingering query. Was Rollo right to prioritize his own happiness over his family's comfort? Or did his choices selfishly inflict unnecessary pain on those who raised him?